Hello and welcome to this podcast. In this podcast, we talk everything Doctor Who, classic, new, and upcoming. There's not much going on at the minute, to be perfectly
What's
honest with
upcoming?
you.
Yeah, I was about to say.
There's like nothing upcoming. There's lots of classics, but But what I thought this week on Twitter, I saw that there was a rewatch of Love and Monsters, which is a very interesting story, very divisive story,
Yeah.
which I remember at the time that I watched it, I didn't like it as a child. It was just weird. It was weird, wasn't it? Kind of very out of nowhere, not expected.
I didn't mind it. I guess I was more into it because I was actively watching Blue Peter at the time, and I saw them come up with the design, and like, and yeah, I guess at the time I thought that the whole like retrospective like camera talking thing was kind of cool. But I actually haven't even watched the episode in a long time because it wasn't one I had on like DVD as a kid. Like I only had the final volume of the DVD. Of course I own it now, but I haven't. It's not one that I've ever
watched
come
it
back
since.
to. Ever.
Well, you jumped in on
I
my
don't think
intro. I hadn't finished introducing the topic there, Conrad. You just
Yeah,
dive
well,
right in.
I
Dive
hijacked
right
it,
in.
so-
I was trying to introduce the topic for people. So, what we're planning on talking about is the Doctor-Lite episodes. Doctor-Lite episodes, which are basically episodes, for those who don't know, where the Doctor really doesn't appear in it much at all. Like, he can be there, but not really. Okay, so the Tennant era had the majority of them, and then there's a couple I'd count, or like one really from the Matt Smith era, which I'd count, which isn't probably one you'd think it would be. But yeah, so going from there, we're gonna just go through them chronologically from the time and why we kind of like them actually, and in retrospective, I think they should return. But we'll get to our kind of conclusion. I just said the conclusion at the end. So, Love and Monsters.
We'll get to the conclusion at the beginning.
Yeah. Hey,
This
is wibbly wobbly stuff, which is from one of the Doctor-Lite stories. But anyway, yeah. So, Love and Monsters, written by Russell T Davies, directed by Dan Zeff, who didn't do anything else. That was his only one. Interesting. So yeah, obviously this was the Blue Peter drawing competition, which was interesting. It was crazy that they did that so early on, for the second series. But what an idea! And I want to give credit to the kid. Like, actually, an amazing creature. I think it actually is a really good alien design. And if it hadn't have been so divisive, this episode, I think the Zorbloths would have returned. I think they're actually a pretty terrifying species. Like, I think they've got some threat value.
Yeah.
They've got threat value to them,
Actually, what was funny about the design is that actually on Twitter, I don't remember exactly the context, but the original kid who designed it, like, commented on some post or another. He's actually still an artist, actually. So.
Oh, that's cool. I guess obviously that would give you motivation times like 1 billion for your thing to be made. And yeah, I thought it was a wild episode in general. I remember at the time I didn't like it, and then over the years I've kind of seen defenses for it, and I've rewatched it a couple of times, and now I really appreciate the kind of the thing about these Doctor-Lite episodes is they really make the universe feel dangerous if a Doctor isn't about. These dangers are real. And I think the issue is when you're seeing the Doctor week in, week out defeat these villains, there's some effort, obviously, there's some struggles, but ultimately always comes out on top.
Yeah.
You kind of start to forget that actually even these smaller, not the Daleks, tiny monsters in comparison, they're, 1 billion times as dangerous, just to a common human being who has no expertise or great intelligence against, these villains and these alien species, and I think the great thing about this Love and Monsters is that all of these characters are actually really vulnerable, and they're snooping into something that's really dangerous to do. You know, like, and it's a nice story. It's interesting to see how the Doctor impacts like his as a child's life. You know, and
Yeah.
it's great to see that side of it, because you always see all the adventures from we follow the Doctor or the companion, and we never see the people who are left behind, including children, and how that would affect them. And it's just
We've also
nuts.
got that bit in Waters on Mars. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Exactly. And it is kind of also brought up again in A Good Man Goes to War, when there's that one soldier who they ran through the forest really quickly, and the Doctor didn't even know who she was. Like, it's crazy to see that impact that this mythical alien being has, almost godly, but not a god. That's the point of a show. It's just another person. But
although it could be now.
Yeah. Oh god.
Could be now.
Yeah, I know. But we'll just pretend that's not a thing. Headcanon. But yeah, I. It's weird with the concrete head ending. That always makes me feel slightly uncomfortable. With Ursula's face just in this concrete slab, and a weird, like, how does it work? Just, can she ever die? Like, she must. Like, there must be a point where it's just weird. It's just kind of weird.
I don't. Yeah.
Like the rest, I think it would have been better if everyone kind of died. Like, it leaves a weird taste in my mouth at the end of the episode, and I defend it. It's better than people give it credit for. Fear Her is so much worse, and I think the issue is it's back to back. It's Love and Monsters and then Fear Her, so it's like two in a row that are kind of like, ooh, that's different.
I've watched Fear Her far more, so like I can say more about that. Generally, although that's not Doctor-Lite episode, so we won't talk about that here. But I also don't hate that one as much as other people do. It's not great, but
I watched them both recently.
Worse the show? Nah, there's been far worse.
Yeah. Though I don't know, it's a mix. It really is a yeah.
It's a bit.
I've watched it very recently, like when I did my whole series watches, and yeah, Love and Monsters is just one that there's just a creepiness to it, and it works well with the kind of vlog style talking to camera, and you kind of really get a feeling for this character of Elton. I'm surprised they never ever brought Elton back for at least Russell T, who kind of has this whole universe. I feel like you could have had him at some point somewhere, just
sure, but maybe if it was more popular, or maybe if this episode was
maybe
liked,
I wonder actually. Yeah, I think if this episode had been more popular, maybe
or maybe not. I mean,
actually, I think if he would have I think if he would have shown up, it would have been
had like Sally Sparrow turn up in Journey's End or anything. So maybe not.
That's true. Well, I feel that one's slightly too big. I wonder if Elton survived, like Journey's End and the Dalek story. I wonder if he died. High chance. High chance. Like, they exterminated a lot of people.
Why we need a big Finis Linda spin-off? We can find all this out.
You just listen to their jam sessions. Just play music. It's actually just like an album of Linda songs. Like, kind of, Chameleon Circuit songs. Just Doctor Who, all Doctor Who related. See, do you know what's interesting is I really want to know how those other characters came across the Doctor. Like, I know forums, but to be that interested in the Doctor, I feel like there would have had to have been some kind of interaction. Like, I feel. Do you know what would have been cool is if they'd done like a bit of, like in a Spider-Man Far From Home, where they got like the actor from Iron Man, that one scientist who gets shouted at by Jeff Bridges, to come back in like Far From Home to be one of like the Mysterio gang. If they'd done something like that, like just some background people who just been actors in the background of like earlier Doctor Who stories, like Rose or something, like the Auton invasion, and they saw the Doctor from a distance. Like that could have been pretty cool. Like I can't. It would have been nice to have known what their, backgrounds were.
Also, I kind of wish they tied like Clive's website into it from like Rose.
Yeah, that would have been good. Yeah, I think there was potential there to really actually like connect it, because they also could have done like school reunion. Like I know, what was it? Oh, what was her name? The young one. It's not Bridget, is it?
I've watched that episode too. So.
God. Okay, I'm gonna look at the cast list. Yes, it was Bridget. No, Bliss. Bliss is the younger one. Catherine. Yeah. I got one of their names. Yeah, Bliss is the young one. It would have been cool if she was like a kid at school reunion, because she was pretty young, and like I feel like there could have been like that kind of, she'd been in one of the classes or something, just something weird like that. Because I feel like is at a young age you kind of get attached to these crazy things, and that's when you kind of take it into your adulthood. And it would have been interesting to see. I don't know. I feel like there could have been like potential there, which kind of was missed. But oh well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to. It gives you that sense that the universe is bigger than just always in the TARDIS and the Doctor. Like these alien things happen elsewhere, which is why Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures were so successful, because it's like. Just it makes you feel like these things are happening all the time everywhere.
But we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, forget that one. Yeah. So I mean, Blink is. I mean, do we really need to say much about why Blink is amazing? Yes, it has a bit more of a Doctor in it, but from such a an outsider point that it's like he's just this. It's the same thing. It's like it's this slight footprint that he's left on the planet, kind of thing, and it's about the characters looking at this this imprint that is left and trying to work it out and everything. And I mean, the Weeping Angel's a fantastic creature, and again, it's like even though they're pretty terrifying by themselves, they're even more terrifying without the Doctor about. Like that's the key thing there. It's this real added level of danger, because there is no Doctor. He's trapped in the past. Like, what can he do? And unless he showed up super aged because he had to wait out the time, and Martha would have been dead. That would have been a dark way, but a potential. But yeah, like
have old man Doctor for the rest of this, just like he was in
the Sound of Drums.
Yeah, Sound of Drums. We just have him like that for the rest of the season.
I mean, that would have been just a couple of episodes. Just no Martha. That would be it. She's just dead. She died.
Yeah, just gone.
Well, they could have had old Martha like take a message to. That would have been crazy. That would have been wild. But that's too dark, I think. That's more like a Torchwood timeline kind of thing, where Jack would outlive it, but the person who also got sent back with him would just die. Though Jack could go to the future, I guess, and then take him back, but that wouldn't work. Yeah, that would work if he then used his time manipulator. Oh God, yeah, because he couldn't be present for when she disappeared. That would be the way I'd get out of it. So it'd be like, oh no, I'm gonna have to live through this century to get back. Right, you go in this room, and I'm never gonna see you again. And then like the companion would go in the room, and as they enter the room, they see old man Doctor with the TARDIS back to save. See, that would be a pretty cool, story. I feel like that would be a good way to do a Weeping Angel kind of story thing, where you think the companion's gonna have to live out their days, and it's like, right, that you go in that room, and I'll never see you again, and then the Doctor knows that they've been picked up by his future self, and then that's the way I'd get around it, but in an inventive way. But you could build it up. You could build up the whole story that they're gonna have to just live it out, and that's kind of terrifying. They're gonna die way before they even get back to present day, which would be interesting. That would be interesting. But yeah, I mean, Blink is such a classic, and I mean, then the villains did come back from that, which is, I kind of think that these stories where you take the Doctor out of, you have more time to flesh out the villains. I think, because you're not having to. You're just introducing this character for one episode rather than having to do any crazy arcs with them. So you can be pretty kind of basic with the characters. As long as they've got personality, I think you could be more basic with the characters. Like Sally Sparrow going around the old house is actually like the line delivery. She's like, it's sad. It's like, oh, why is it sad? Well, sad is happy for deep people or something. It's like there's actually no reason as to why she goes to the house the first time. She just kind of does.
Yeah.
And like it's never really picked up. That's, you know, no one ever complains about that, and it's because it's a one-off character. It's like whatever, you kind of move on. But if a doctor was like, yes, I'm going to this house because yes, you know, and unless you have to then write in the line about the TARDIS going wrong or whatever, you know, like you could be more loose to these characters and spend more time with the villain. Because you can, you know, and like it's because the solution can be smart but pretty quick. Like in Love and Monsters, it's pretty much the Doctor shows up and is like, "Hey, break that cane." That's it, you know.
Pretty much, yeah.
And like the Doctor doesn't actually do anything. He's just like, "Hey, they're thinking," and then they stretch him apart, which is weird. Yeah, it's such an artsy Doctor Who story is the way I'd describe Love and Monsters. It's like that weird, abstract Doctor Who episode with weird concepts. But my credit to Love and Monsters is it at least it goes for it. It doesn't pull its punches. It goes weird, and that's it. And you do see, like, you know, the Auton invasion and the Christmas invasion. From Elton's point of view, you know, when there's like glass all over the floor and he climbs over to the window, he looks out and sees the Cigarette spaceship. You know, all that stuff. It's cool. It makes it feel like, you know, the continuity in the universe of the show. I really love that.
Shame none of that's canon anymore.
Yeah, or is it? Who knows?
I
literally don't know.
Don't even know anymore.
It's very confusing. But then turn left. An absolute 10 out of 10 gem. I mean,
and you have a full review of this one, so
yeah, you can go watch our full review of that. But yeah, what a story! I love that it brought in the Trickster Brigade. Can't believe they've never brought the Trickster into modern Doctor Who. I feel like that's such a like you're just begging for companions to end up being tricked by the Trickster. Like, come on, like it's the story potential is so there. And like,
I mean, I think a lot of the Sarah Jane only monsters probably locked there now. Probably.
Yeah. Like people out of all the Sarah Jane villains, like that was her best nemesis. That's why he always came back. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic creation. Looked amazing. Was creepy. Just the whole thing was fantastic. And like his power is literally just like persuasion. That's it, you know. Yeah. And you know, he would go after the Doctor. Like the Trickster's Brigade would do that. And I feel like we're just waiting. I'm hoping one day they'll do a Trickster thing. In some ways, I'd prefer like retiring the Master for a little bit and just bringing the Trickster in for a while, just because it completely changes dynamics. I mean, there's only so much you can do. This is why the Master keeps getting shafted with like Cybermen every fucking time, because like they're too nervous to do any original monsters. They kind of did in Spyfall, but that was it.
I think that's more the case with the Cybermen to the Master than it is the Master to the Cybermen thing.
I think they're both, but it's equal shafting, isn't it? Though they're both getting lumped with the other. Like it's just it frustrates me.
Yeah, I mean we didn't need it after Dark Water, Death in Heaven to have
more Cybermen. It's like get off your hard on.
The Master has between that. The Master has had more things to do, whereas like the Cybermen, you think of it, it's just like we had like the end of this stuck together, and then we had like we had the Peter Capaldi finale with the Master and Cybermen. Like the Cybermen haven't really basically since Nightmare in Silver really
had their own independent story.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think, unless I'm missing.
No, you're right.
No.
That's it.
Whereas the Master has had
unless you count like the Haunting of Villa Diodati, and but it kind of
yeah, I guess
that's the only one,
guess,
and it's
yeah,
a fantastic episode, and it's fucking great, and
so it's kind of sort
but
of
it's
a
kind of connected. That's the
three-parter.
issue. Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
that's
Yeah,
the
that
issue
is,
with it.
yeah.
But that's why it is the best part out of all three parts,
Hmm.
for sure.
But I
Haunting
still
of
am fond of Ascension.
Ascension's great,
Just
but
it's a great setup for a story we never got.
Yeah, the story never finishes. Yikes. But oh well, it's just about simplicity sometimes when it comes to a story. Just tell the story that you've come up with, which is Last Humans, Cybermen. That's it. Boom.
Yeah.
Forget the Timeless Child till the next series. Like, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But so turn left in the Trickster's Brigade. That would be, a fantastic element to bring back, I think. Yeah. I'm surprised Big Finish haven't really done Trickster stuff. I feel like that would be a good one. Because, like, companions who've left the Doctor, what about if a Trickster changed it so that they never left? That would be a really interesting. And actually, the fact that they stayed meant that another companion didn't join, which then meant the Doctor then died in this situation, which then means all these horrible things happened. Like sometimes you have to say goodbye, and I feel like that would be a really good companion Doctor-Lite episode.
Yeah, but it just which companion would that work for?
You could do any.
Yeah, okay.
You could do any at any point because you can manipulate the story. At any point. You'd have to do it with whichever Doctor was in it. So say it was Matt Smith, right? And then Amy Pond was given the chance to stay instead of leave and go back in time with the Angel. And then that's a whole episode. It's like a finale. It would be a finale episode or something, where the Doctor, because you could do it interesting that they've cast the next companion, but they haven't actually appeared yet. But in the finale, then the they change their mind or something, and then what happens to the people that get removed? Where's Clara gone? Like what happens to them? Do they know? Like all this stuff. It would be interesting because you kind of with the Trickster's powers, you can kind of manipulate things to work in any way. Like, has he just removed them from this universe and they're just sat in this void waiting? Like stuck. And I think there's lots you can do, and I feel like that would be a good finale kind of piece, really. Just where the companion changes their mind, and they're like, "No, I want to stay on," and seeing what would have happened, in a story, because that's where you can make characters really different. Like maybe where one character did one thing, this companion would have done a completely different thing, which then caused the Doctor to basically demise, die, and that would be kind of crazy. And then they want to take it back, but they can't, and it's like, well, how do we do it? And so on, but yeah, that would be. I think it's been long enough that you could really do something quite good with it, and I think fans would be pretty happy with the Trickster coming back. I feel like he was quite a beloved character from the Sarah Jane adventures, and the fact that we still remember him over a decade later is a real credit to the character itself, But yeah, the last one, which I would really say is a Doctor-Lite episode. Can you guess which one it is?
This is the Matt Smith one.
Yeah.
The Crimson Horror?
No, but surprisingly, that kind of is. That's not the one I was actually thinking of.
Yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind.
The one I was thinking of was more The Girl Who Waited, which while the Doctor's still kind of present, he's kind of stuck, in the TARDIS, not being able to do much, which leaves Rory and Amy in far more danger. That one, it's that kind of thing where the Doctor's sidelined for the other characters.
Yeah. So by that logic, so is Flatline.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe I would say Flatline's kind of a Doctor-Lite episode as well. It somewhat is. Arguably, I think he has as much as he does in Blink, like that as well.
He's just in it far more. But they didn't really take him much off the TARDIS set.
He's stuck. He's stuck within certain parameters, and he's only talking through communication. There's not much he can do, you know. Like he's physically unable to really do anything.
Yeah,
I think that's what I think is the key thing for a Doctor-Lite episode. It doesn't necessarily mean he can't be in it as much, but he is super restricted to what he can do, and just talking isn't that much, you know.
Yeah.
And that's I would say Flatline's actually a Doctor-Lite episode. Is the Doctor-Lite episode of that series, and Crimson Horror somewhat, though the Doctor does kind of show up about halfway through. But that's a nice. See, that one also sticks out to me. These ones are all the ones which kind of stick out to me for being like different enough that I enjoy it a lot. You know,
take off that reliance on the Doctor.
Yeah, and it makes it adds tension to the story because it's like, well, he can't do anything. Like Clara's on her own in Flatline, and I mean, Series 8 Clara's the best Clara out of the 3 seasons. But yeah, it's a real great thing, and it's great to see the companion have to try to be the Doctor in the situation, you know. And she understands the things that he says about, like, you know, oh yeah, I'm gonna get you out, I'm gonna save you all, and it's so that they don't dawdle, so they don't die. You know, it's like it's pure manipulation, but it's what every single Doctor's done. So basically, every single Doctor's kind of manipulative. It puts a question over the character and their like morals. You know, is it the right thing lying to someone saying that they're gonna live and survive? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe, like, you know, and it's interesting. It adds this interesting dynamic, and that's why the line at the end of Flatline's great. It's just like, was I good? Was I good as a Doctor? And she's like, oh, you're a great Doctor, but there's like that doesn't, you know, there's nothing good about that. Like, also, it's along those lines, and it's a really great line because it's like it's into the psyche of how the Doctor actually views himself without actually having to kind of say it. Like, I'm an idiot. I'm you know, which the finale sadly goes on to do. But it's nice there where it's like just this like little line, and it just leaves these implications open of what does he think of himself and so on. But yeah, Doctor-Lite episodes, I miss them. I think, and what was great about them was because the episode run was so long, you didn't feel like you were getting any less kind of Doctor Who. You know, you still got 12 other episodes with the Doctor being in it, or 11. But now when you've only got 10 per series, it's kind of, if you do a Doctor-Lite episode, it kind of sticks out. Like it's a whole 10th of the series, you know. It's like, it's as soon as you do the math, that's the issue. That's the...
And granted, I don't think it'd be necessarily a bad thing. It's like a mid-season thing, just to break up the pace and to give a bit of variety to a season, even with the reduced episode count. The issue is that we're certainly not going to get it next season because of the even further reduced episode count. So
Yep. What is it? 7 episodes?
I think
7 and something else. I'm interested to see it.
There's definitely always value, I think, to Doctor-Lite stories, just because it gives like the writers a chance to kind of experiment and to expand the universe while not being so hamstrung to the consistent formula that we have with Doctor Who quite as firmly as what you would with like every single other episode. Which again is where you get episodes like Blink, because Moffat was allowed to kind of go wild and write an episode that wouldn't have worked if Doctor was the focal point of that episode. So, like as you say, it gives a more vulnerable and kind of tension-filled experience, or again, like a completely different like experiment, like again with Turn Left, where it's like experimental and different. It gives you like all these alternate universe possibilities. Like that's what was so good about them, is that it gives far more, like, even for a very open show, like creatively, like Doctor Who, where you can do like, you know, almost anything as is. Like this gives you a chance to then, you know, give an entirely different like context and again different structure potentially, you know, because you don't know what's going to happen necessarily to these characters which you're following. You know, they could die because you know they are one-off characters. So for all you know, just
there's something really tragic about Blink as well. Like, these characters that do get sent back in time, they die. We see Billy die, and her friend sends a letter and she's like, I'm dead, and you see her grave. Like, it's bleak. It's a really bleak episode.
Yeah.
And
they got to live out their lives, I guess.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's killing you kindly, but it's sad for us because we know that they never get to see each other, or they never get to have the life that they should have had. Like, it's still kind of horrible. Like, you go back, you're sent back, you have nothing. They're literally poor. They are literally homeless, poor, and out of a time zone. It's crazy. Yeah. Oh yeah, looking at the Wikipedia, it says 8 episodes, reduced from the previous 11. So a special, I guess.
But one of those might be the Christmas special.
Yeah, well, New Year special, because fuck Christmas.
New Year special. Yeah.
I ain't calling it a Christmas special when it airs on New Year. That's like the end of a festive period.
It's so ingrained.
Oh no, I'm not having a go at you. I'm having a go at the people in general. But how dare you fucking say it, you piece of shit. You piece of fucking shit. Can't believe you said it. But yeah, 8 episodes? Sure. I mean, I just kind of want to watch Doctor Who again. Like, this is the thing where it's every year and like a half. Or like almost like this year it's more acceptable that, it's been delayed because COVID, and it's fair enough.
Everything.
But God, it's just such a wait. Like, right now we should be on the next series. Like, if it was every year like it was back in the day, it's been a year since series 12. We should be on the next series. And the only reason it doesn't feel like it's been ages is because we had the Dalek special on New Year's Day, which kind of just slightly bridges the gap. But it's just weird how long it takes between seasons now. It's kind of wild. Kind of wild.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
But yeah, I think they should. Maybe not this period of Doctor Who, because with the reduced episode count and everything, I don't think it's the right time. But I'd love to see an episode set at Unit where when they have to deal with stuff when the Doctor doesn't show up, and it's, because that would be a really interesting thing to see their side of things, and how much they actually rely on the Doctor, maybe too much,
I'd actually love to see a spin-off series with like Kate Stewart and.
Oh yeah, I'd love a whole series, but if you had to just do one episode,
doing their own series on that, but like,
I'd love to see a TV episode, like just like a pilot. Like, you do one episode, see how it goes down, see if like the want is there, and then if they want it, then do like I'd make it 15. I'd make it actually slightly older. I would make it like a 12A kind of thing. So because it's guns and stuff, because they have to fight with guns, because they don't, they don't have the science know-how of the Doctor. Like, they can do kind of decently with Osgood, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the Doctor-Lite episodes were actually a huge part, I think, of the success of the series, especially during the Russell T era. I think all of them, all of the Doctor-Lite episodes are some of the best that the series actually has to offer.
Well, not all of them are the best.
I don't know.
I'd say
Love and Monsters is a solid story. I generally
it's okay, but like I wouldn't call it anywhere, like, but it does kind of fit into what I was saying about them being more experimental. It's just that in that case, like I said, I don't think it's the worst of the worst, but I certainly wouldn't put it on any like good level. It's just it's not the worst is all I can say about that. But I certainly wouldn't put it like anywhere. Like all the Doctor-Lite episodes after that were considerably like stronger.
Yeah, but one outlier among like 6 or 7 is pretty good,
Yeah.
Compared to like series openers, which are really hit and miss.
Yeah, and more often than not miss.
Yeah. Generally. But like for it opens up more ideas, and it makes the universe feel bigger. In my opinion, that's my conclusion.
Yeah.
My conclusion. I didn't say that at the start. That it makes the universe feel bigger. But yeah, I would like to see them return, and I think that the Trickster would be a great way to segue them back, and just do a companion heavy episode, which is fine. Like, sometimes you need that. Like, the Doctor's pretty much, their characters always, after like their first series, we kind of know the personality, or you hope that the audience knows the personality at that point, and that there's no major changes. So then you can kind of then focus on the companion a bit more, I think, like, or another character. I feel like after the first series, you can kind of then go a bit more, like, you know who the Doctor is at this point. Now we're going to do some different stuff, and the Doctor can kind of show up towards the end.
If they had done it in like series 11 or 12, that might have greatly benefited the whole unfocused companion situation. Because if you take the Doctor out of that equation and rely on the 3 other companions to solve the issue, then maybe we would have actually had an episode where they all felt like they were worth something, rather than most of the time where they just, like, whenever they're left to their own devices, and just sit about and wait for the Doctor to return.
It's just ask questions with them. That's all it ever was. And it's just Doctor explaining. It's like in Spyfall Part 1 and 2. It's just the Doctor constantly explaining everything because the plot is too convoluted.
Yeah.
And then doing a Curse of Fatal Death ending, which I mean, still, like, to this day, the Master lived through basically all of the 20th century, right?
Yeah.
Like, surely he would have done shit there. Like,
oh, I think that was somewhat of the indication. There was an indication that happened. And actually, they kind of tie that into the Faceless One's
the wanted
animation, because they had like that wanted poster with the implication that
he was about. But then surely he's like, the Master would do some kind of master plot. Surely that would. He'd team up with Delgado. Like, that's the kind of shit that the Master would pull. Like,
maybe that's something for Big Finish to explore at some point.
I hope so, because it would be so dumb. Like, it's a really dumb thing. Hey, I'm just gonna, like, they made like such a big deal of it, like the Master being on Earth by himself for too long in The Sound of Drums, like, and now he had a whole fucking 100 years to do shit. And you're telling me he just sat around waiting? Like, yeah. That's like that one thing that I really kind of dislike there. Like, if he was trapped somewhere else for however long, like, sure, fine. But on Earth, that's pretty negligent there, Doctor. So it's a bit of a yikes. But
eventually, Monk's been stuck in the iceberg since the 1960s.
Yeah. I wonder what happened with him. Mate, global warming. Global warming. I'm worried. They'll have a shot where the iceberg turns around. It's melting, like in Ice Age 2, the meltdown, when there's those dinosaurs trapped in the ice, and because it's melting, they break out. That's the meddling monk.
I don't think I've seen that film since I was 4 or 5. Because we rented that film. I think
it's on Disney Plus.
From a video rental store in Godalming. I don't think it's a Blockbuster. I think it's like an independent video rental store. But we used to go there a lot. Remember VHS?
I used to get VHSs.
I'm old.
I got VHSs from the library.
I did too.
Yeah, you could borrow them out. Yeah.
Like a volume of Cow and Chicken from the library and watch that.
For us, it was like Looney Tunes. There was a Tweety, the bird Tweety, Around the World in 80 Days, and he had to get paw prints of cats from around the world. It was a wild one, but yeah, that was one we watched. It came in a yellow case, the Tweety. But yeah, that was I can't even. How did we get onto that? I've just had a mind bag. What were we talking about?
Who am I?
Who am I? What is this? Is this a podcast? Oh no! I've sold my soul to the devil. Oh no. Yeah, I can't remember what we were talking about. It's just VHSs of Ice Age. That's it. It's on Disney Plus. All the Muppet shows.
The End of the Monk.
Yeah. All of the Muppet shows on Disney Plus now. I've started watching that.
I
super happy because I almost for years I've almost spent money just getting the box sets, and now I've already paid, and now I can watch it.
I had a volume of I think it was season 2, volume 3 or 4, which I had on VHS for the longest time. I'd watched that on repeat, actually. Speaking of VHSs.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to watching those episodes again. Though I am watching them from the top. I watched the first 3 episodes yesterday.
Oh, I watched the first 2. I love the first.
Go ahead.
I know. God, no spoilers. No spoilers to this 40-year-old show. No, 50 year? Would it be 50?
Something like that. It was a late
70s. Oh my god. Fucking hell. But yeah, I loved the very first skit that they in episode 1 with like the lady just dancing with this guy. just chucking him about, and like the transitions between like the the puppet version to the man was so good. Like it was so great.
She was really funny throughout that episode, like just entirely like
yeah,
the whole, like,
they were great. The whole thing was brilliant. Like what I love
Spanish gag.
I love the just the balance between like actually smart humor and then some really dumb humor as well. It's like this nice, perfect balance, and it knows that its bad humor is bad, and yeah, it's real nice. It's I kind of wish I wonder what it was like watching that live. It must have been a wild trip, like compared to everything else on TV at the time.
Parents.
Yeah, because I had one on VHS as well. It was like a purple.
My dad used to watch it.
I had the purple,
which is
box.
why I had the VHS to begin with.
See, I
and it was
loved
that
it.
and Muppets Take Manhattan I had on VHS. Those were the two Muppets things.
They're great. Together again. That's from the Muppets Most Wanted. They did Together again. I need to watch that one again because I haven't. I haven't watched it again since I watched it the first time, and I thought it was okay, but that was about it. It wasn't as good as the Muppets, which I thought was fantastic. That one was great. But yeah, that's clearly we've finished on Doctor Who as a topic, so I think we're gonna wrap it up there.
I guess so.
Yeah, the Muppets should appear in Doctor Who. That should happen.
I got this T-shirt. It's nice. On the back it has like all the dates, I think, and my headphones have just come out of like all the episodes.
It does have.
I don't know if you can
Yes,
see that. I can't hear you right now. Like, unplug my headphones. Sorry. Yeah.
You're back in.
Yep.
Cool. Yes, it does. It does have all the episodes.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Delgado's, yeah.
Yeah, of Delgado's. It'd be a bit weird if it wasn't Delgado's. The Sound of Drums.
Hey, because I have all the master stories.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. To be honest, yeah, it makes sense that they did it just by master. But yeah, there we go. Well, thank you very much for listening, guys. If you got this far, probably not. Comment below what you think of Doctor-Lite episodes. Do you think they should return, or do you think it's a trend that should be left in the past, like you are after Weeping Angels touch you? I don't know. I was trying to work that in. Well, yeah. No, not touching inappropriately, Conrad. Jesus Christ. Oh God. Right. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.